You noticed it too, haven't you? We've been exposed to controversies and warnings and just nonstop bad news our entire lives, but this hits different. Beneath all of these chaotic headlines that we see every single day, it just feels like something bigger is happening. Do me a favor. Try and think of just one general thing in your life that has improved in the last 10 years. Has your quality of healthcare improved? How about your quality of education, your cost of living, your insurance coverage, your privacy, your freedom? This is a theory, maybe a conspiracy theory, but a theory nonetheless that I've been sharing and discussing and refining for years. For you, it's merely some lenses that you can try on when reading your newsfeed. It's an introduction to what comes after capitalism. Something I can only call leveragism. When a single actor's purchasing power is comparable to entire communities, it is more valuable to them to remove billions of dollars from here than it is to add billions of dollars to here. All of a sudden, some of the confusing and chaotic things that are happening in the world start to make sense. The point is, if you're judging wealth by purchasing power, then you're likely working harder and earning more while getting poorer. Every single time you look at the news, when you come across yet another story that perplexes you or makes you wonder how the most powerful people in the world could consistently make such terrible decisions, it's worth asking yourself, will this directly or indirectly contribute to me working my entire life only to be left with just enough money to die on a mattress? Because for those of my viewers who are lucky enough to have accumulated some form of wealth, even if it's your 401k or a house that you're still paying off, once you see this pattern, you can't stop noticing that the majority of policies or change that's been made by the government in the last decade create a new pathway to siphon that wealth from you. The paranoid conspiracy theory that I cannot get out of my head is that this isn't happening to steal your money. It's happening to steal your autonomy. When you combine all of this with the enormous amount of your tax dollars paying for unprecedented levels of government surveillance, how much more will it take to make you too vulnerable to fight back when you're mistreated? How much more will it take to make you feel like your family's survival is at risk when you attend a protest? At what point will you feel weary to attend a city hall meeting to voice opposition to a proposed data center? Or to make you scared to tell a joke about the president? Or even comment on videos like this one or share it on your social media? How far are we right now from the point in time when you will feel like you can't afford the risk or potential punishment for voting to replace your elected leaders? There's simply no denying that capitalism creates a world where a deadbeat dad with a trust fund is respected more than a single parent who works 2 low-wage jobs to provide for their family. If we're to think about it logistically, the asset that everybody should be hoarding and protecting the most is time. And I don't mean this in the time is money sense. Maybe it's something that happens in your 40s, but if I order something and it requires 4 hours of my life to assemble it, I'm just sending it back. Like, sure, this cabinet looks really nice and it's worth the $250 that I paid for it, but I want to play guitar or look at stuff under the microscope for 4 hours more than I want a nice looking cabinet. And then you just realize that it's all ironically coming back full circle. Like 30 years ago, if my grandfather ordered a new coffee table and a little thin, heavy box showed up with a 22-page assembly manual, he would absolutely lose his shit. That kind of thing would be absolutely unacceptable to consumers in the 1980s. In fact, it would be seen as such an egregious scam that it would be on the evening news. This time theft isn't just some annoyance that old men bitch about in their yards. In economics and sociology, its clinical name is shadow work. It describes the uncompensated and unpaid labor that the ruling class have quietly outsourced to the consumer under the guise of convenience or innovation. In a classic market, you've exchanged money so somebody else could spend their time processing a service for you. The post-capitalist mechanism works by charging you the full price and forcing you to act as an unpaid employee. Also, at some point we have to admit that this is our own fault. We drove to IKEA and picked out the bedroom set and then searched the warehouse for the parcel number and then lifted the boxes and rented the truck to transport them and then assembled the furniture in our own homes with our own tools. Instead of laughing at the very proposal of being expected to do all these things on our own free time without compensation, we felt like it could save us a few bucks. And we were greedy about the wrong thing. We were greedy about the thing that wildly changes value without our control. The thing that is controlled by people who don't care about us, but who repeatedly, throughout history, time and time again, break our social contracts with them. Perhaps the thing that Franklin D. Roosevelt didn't account for nor could have predicted when he drew a map to make capitalism work for everybody was this inevitable phenomenon. Whether you're working 3 jobs at the same time just to keep the lights on, or literally the wealthiest person in the history of civilization, it seems like capitalism's flaw is a very abstract one. It robs us of the ability to prioritize the appreciation of living.